In this tutorial, I'm going to teach you how to set up and use GitHub, which ultimately prepare our development environment on our subject or subject. Before that, let me introduce to you about Git and GitHub. Git does two things. Number one, it tracks the changes of our code, or uh, it helps us to record the versions of our codes or files, and it also helps us to work together as a team on a single project or a single code base. Okay. Now GitHub is just a cloud-based platform similar to Google Drive, which gives us a place to store our codes on the internet, which we can access anywhere. Okay, so here we have a illustration. So GitHub is a uh, application. Okay, it's a web application where we store our codes, and we refer it as a remote repository, or typically GitHub hosts our remote repository, or repository is just another word for storage, or where we keep files or codes. Then we have here multiple clients or multiple computers that serves as local repository, and they connect to the remote repository using the Git system or Git software. Okay, so we're going to be able to place our code on GitHub, and we are able to get it or download it or pull it into our local machine or our own computer, and we can work on it, and then when we are done with our changes, we can push or we can upload it back to the GitHub using Git commands. Now to set up, we need to download a couple of softwares. Number one, we need Git uh, software, and then also a code editor of your choice. But in our class, we're going to use VS Code on some subjects. Now to download, we can just go to this link. Then if you are on Windows, you can click download for Windows. Then choose 64-bit for most setup are on 64-bit version. You download that and then start it. And then here is the application that I am installing, the Git software that I'm installing right now. I just click next, then click just click next, then next, and then by default, this is chosen, but I advise you to choose this one and make it main, or the default uh, branch. Okay, the default branch would be main rather than master. Okay, because in GitHub, the default branch when you create a remote repository is main. So you won't need to rename your local branch or your local repository branch into main, because it would be defaulted into main as similar to the remote repository or the GitHub. So just click next, next, and then continue on. Then just wait for that to be set up. And then I already have the VS Code. If you don't know where to get that, it's already provided on this guide. Okay, or you just have to search for Visual Studio Code online or code.visualstudio.com. Download the Windows version if you are on Windows. Okay, so it's finished already. Let me just uncheck that. Then let me go here. Let me see if it's already accessible here by typing git version. Okay, if it's not, then I have to restart it. So I am on a VS Code. I type the command on the terminal a while ago. So this is basically terminal. For those who not know, terminal, in other words, is a command window, command line window, CLI or CLI, command line interface or command line window where we can type a command which the computer can execute. Okay, so let me try Git version. Still, I think it has to be restarted. Let me just restart it. Okay. And then open again the terminal. The shortcut for the it's already open. The shortcut for this is pressing Control back tick. Okay, to open the terminal or the key beside 1. Okay. So let me try Git version again, and we already have it, which is we have the latest version of Git. Okay, let me just clear my screen. I can type clear or CLS. Clear on, that's also working. Clear is basically Unix based way of clearing our screen on the terminal window. Now this time, uh, we're going to create a sample project. Okay, to create a project on VS Code, a free form project, you're not going to use a template generator. So we're just going to click this one and click open folder, so we can open a blank directory that we'll use to uh, group or store our project files. So you can choose anywhere you like to save. Let me just go to desktop and let me go here. Now I'm going to create a web application, for example, or whatever type of application we will going to create later on. So I'm just going to create a new folder for my project. Let me just name it as project Git demo. So I'm just going to name it like that. Select folder, select folder. Now it's going to be open here. This is already the folder is already open and it is set as a current workspace where I can uh, create files and save into it. Now let me go and create a file. Let me just name it as readme.md. So this is a markdown file, markdown, which allow us to um, allow us to use markdown formats to style our text, and you will see it later. And this is basically the default styling format used by GitHub. Okay, you will see it later on. This is readme.md. I'm going to press enter, and let me just type something here. This is a demo on using Git and GitHub, like this one. Okay, and let me have steps that we're going to do. So I'm just going to group the steps that is needed. Number one is for setting up repo or repository. Okay, let me just use a heading. Let me just separate the steps for setup, or it's just the initial phase of your project, and the development phase of your project. So let me just name it as setup. Okay, and then later on let me just call it development. Okay, so the first step basically is create project, which we already have done. We can create project by just opening a blank folder and place all the codes for our project. So, and then number two is convert that project into a local repository. Okay, or in other words, initialize it as a repo. Let me just increase my sorry, the one, and I'm just going to hide the one so I'll have a bigger screen. Okay, initialize it as repo or local repo. When you say local, it's the repo that is close to you, or basically the repo that is in your own computer. That's why it's local. Now, afterwards, we're going also to create a remote repository or repo in short on GitHub, which will be uh, the place where we can upload our local repository files. And then number 4, we're going to connect local and remote. So they will be in sync. Okay. And then 5, we're going now to stage the process that will basically be repeated here. We're going to stage changes. We're going to, what do you call this? We're going to rather push. Just going to do push or upload local changes. Push or upload local changes to remote repo. Okay. Now we're going to do this step one by one. So we're going to create project. We're done with that. Check. Second, convert that project. Convert the project. Let me just make it the project into a local repository, or initialize it. In other words, initialize it as a local repo. Now let me open my terminal. Let me save this, and then I'm going to terminal. Take note of this. Your files, an indicator that is already saved is you will see this as an X. If it's it's a filled circle, it means changes are not yet saved. Then let me just open my terminal. To initialize it as an repo, we can just type git init or git initialize. Okay, so as you can see, it's already initialized. So let me just put here the code that we did. So this is how you format codes on an MD file or a markdown file. So it's a bash, or it's a what do you call this? Bash is a shell script or a shell command. So I have executed is git init. Okay, and then we're done with it. The second thing that we are going to do now is we're going to create a repo or remote a repo, or okay, I remember something. We're going to set up in here. We're going also to set up user username and email. We're going also to set that up. Okay, if you own your own computer, okay, if you own the computer that you are using right now, should I say, so you can run git config global if you own it. Okay, otherwise you just use local. Okay, if that's a shared computer, you just use local. Okay, global, and then config global, and then user dot name. Okay, user dot name, and then the username on GitHub that you used to sign up. Okay, okay, press enter, and then git config, another one that we have to set user.email, and then the email also that we have used for our account. So mine is johnny.berzola@lorma.edu. Press enter. So I'm just going to copy that again. So what I will do is, let me just copy that, copy, and just paste it here. Oops, paste. And I'm going to get one and place it here. Paste. Oops. I think I just have to type it. Okay. So never mind this one. I think I press something. Okay, it's doing, yeah, it's just letting me to collapse or uncollapse the code. Okay, something like this. Okay. Let me just change this one. Config global use global user dot name. You can basically do the first one and then the other one. Yeah, it doesn't matter if you interchange the order of their execution. Okay. The point here is you set this up. Okay. The other one is git config global user dot email. Okay. Then we're done. So I think we can now proceed to creating a remote repo on GitHub. So what we will do is I'm going to go here. Let me just save this one. Let me go online and let me open a new tab and I'm going to type GitHub. Make sure that you have signed up already. Okay. And then you will see your dashboard. If it's your first time to create a repository, what you will see there is a green button that has a label create repository. But if you already have existing repo, you can just click the new one. Okay, and name your repository name. Typically, it's just the same as your project name. Let me just name it as project kit demo, something like that. Okay, and just leave the default setting. Then click create repo, and then it's important that you have to get the link. Okay, make sure it by default it's HTTPS. Just leave it as such, and then click this one to copy the Git link. Okay, so that's it. Okay, so to create a remote repo, you go to GitHub and create a new repo. Now we're going to connect them. The command for that now will be um, git remote add origin, and then you're going to paste in the link that you have copied. Okay, so I'm going to do that. That would be, so I'm just typing a text and this is the terminal I am executing. So I'm creating the readme.md. I'm putting here some text in my file, which is a file of my project. And then I'm just going to execute it here in the terminal. That's what I'm doing here. Do not be confused why I have to type them here. Okay, so whatever you can place here, I'm typing them so that you will see it later on the remote repo. So I'm going to type git remote add origin, right click to paste it, press enter. Okay, now we're done. Okay, if you have a other repo and you're not sure what is the remote repo, you can just type git remote show origin and you will see this is the link. Okay, next is we're done with connecting them together. The the most exciting part here now is we are now going to, you know, push or upload our local changes. But before we can push, we have to commit our changes. And it basically involves two uh, steps before we push it. Okay? So basically, these are the three commands that are repeated many times during using GitHub or during working our project. Okay, working on our project. Okay, so these are git add, then git commit, then git push. Those are the three commands, but they are not complete. So git add, we're going to specify the files, okay, that we want to prepare for saving to our local repository. Or if you want to stage, the term for the git add is stage, okay? Okay, is that. Okay, the meaning of this is stage all changes. So I'm making comments here. So you should not type this one. This is just a comment. Stage all changes. Okay, or prepare all changes, or prepare them to be saved, and then commit. The other setting for this should be -m or message, and then description or message. This is just a way to tell or yeah, it's just a way to tell what you did on this commit, and you will use that later on as reference when you're going to want to go back to older version of the file. Okay, like if you want to go to your older version of the file that you did 1 week ago, you can use the description as a reference or a reminder. Okay, so what am I doing here? Let me just put them there like that. Commit all stage changes, and then commit origin main. Okay, so to make it with shortcut, so that next time that we're going to push, we just run git push. We can type an upstream setting. Okay, so when next time we're going to run git push, okay, it's just going to add this setting. Okay, so what we are doing here, we're pushing, we are uploading this origin branch, which is main, to the remote branch, which is main. Okay, so or next time just run git push. Okay, because we have set it up by default to copy this setting. Okay, then let's do the thing. Control S. I'm going to save it. Okay, so that is our first part, and I think I'm done with that. Okay, and from time to time you can also use the git status to view what is the current status of your repository. It's going to show you what are the files that are not yet committed or files that are not yet a part of your local repo. Even though it's inside the folder, it's not automatic that all the files inside them are part of the repo or they are version, they are being tracked already on their version. So as you can see, readme.md is not yet added to the local repository. So I have to stage that by running git add that. If git start tools again, you will see that changes to be committed, meaning there are stage changes that are not yet committed. Now I can proceed to run git commit. Okay, some of you may run on this error. Okay, like this one, git commit, there should be -m. Do not forget that. Otherwise, it's going to ask you, sorry, I clicked that. It's going to ask you to enter your message on a separate, uh, uh, what do you call this? Separate steps, just like this. Look at this. Git commit, and you will see this. Basically, you can type your message here. Like, I'm going to name it as initial commit, something like that. Or if you are confused, you just have to save it. Oh no, it's not saved. Okay, sometimes this is basically a Vim. Okay, initial commit, and then you can type, oops, control, press escape. Okay, and then you can press colon. And then, as far as I know, I can use O to save. Press, may I try that? I'm not just sure. Okay. No write since last changes. Add to override. Okay. Override. Okay. Escape again. Escape and then colon O and then and then asterisk. No. Exclamation point. Okay. It doesn't want it. Okay. I'm not just sure. This is Vim. Let me just search this a quick. Okay, I did not look into that, and I'm not, of course, I'm not so used to using Vim. Vim save file and exit. It's basically Vim. It's being set, so it's basically WQ. Okay, so but to exit, you can use QA. Okay, QA. Okay, so to do that, to save this, okay, where is it already? Okay, I'm going to type W to save and then Q to exit. Okay, it's saved already. Aborting commit due to empty commit message. So it did not allow me. If I'm going to run git status, it's not committed because I forgot to type the message. If I'm going to go back there again and you are confused what's this and you cannot basically exit, okay, you can just exit by typing Q. If you cannot typing colon rather, You cannot type that. You just press escape and then colon and then Q and then A and then exclamation point, enter. This time, you have to write, you have to correct your git commit so you won't run into that confusing or situation where you don't know where to get out. Okay, by typing git commit dash m and then the message and then initial commit. Okay, you don't do that. So you don't do this. You rather do this. Even though this would just be okay because it's just going to, you know, allow you to enter a message. It would be better if you just do this. It's a shortcut and um, it's easier. Okay, press enter. Okay, it's already. If I'm going to type git status, you will see that everything is already committed. Now, this time, okay, my local repo is updated, but my remote repo is not yet updated. If you're going to go here, it's not yet. If I'm going to refresh that, it will be remain the same. Okay, nothing in here. So if I'm going to push now by typing git, where is that third? Git add commit and then push. Take note of that. If I'm going to run git push dash u to set the upstream, or it works like you're setting a shortcut so the next time you don't have to add that already. Git push dash u and then origin main. Okay, for first time you will see this one. If you haven't logged in, okay, it's going to ask you to log in like this one, and you can choose any of these two. Okay, or if you are using a shared computer, what you will see is permission denied because the current log user is not your account, and um, they cannot push to your repo because they did not create that. They don't have any permission to do that. So what you will do, let me just, okay, before I'm going to log in myself, okay, if you run into situation like permission denied in some instances, you can, let me just cancel that right now. Never mind that one. Now, it's basically give you another option to log in, but let me just escape that right now. What I will do is like this, Control C to exit to that. If you're going to run into permission denied or you cannot push, okay, what you will do, as you can see, this is not yet push, okay, what you will do is log out. So you can log out by tapping git credential manager and then GitHub. First, we're going to list the account that is logged in. If it's blank, meaning nothing is logged yet. But in case that this will provide a list or it will have a result indicating the current logged user, you can log that out by typing git credential manager GitHub, then log out, then the username that you will see, something like that. Now let me go and git push dash u origin main. It's going to ask me to log in again, something like this one. So I can just go and sign in with my browser, and it's going to direct me here. Okay, which okay, so it's open on a Mozilla Firefox browser wherein it happens I haven't logged into that. I'm using the Edge. So uh for convenience, I'm just going to, perhaps I can just go and copy that link and go here because I have a existing session in GitHub there. Let me just try it. And if you see, this, it's just blank. It's already approved, or otherwise, you're going to see a button there that you have to authorize and activate the device. And it's just did for me here automatically. It's just blank. Okay, just close that. What you will see when you go back to your VS Code, you will see that it's already it already did the uploading. Okay, so it says here writing objects to the remote repo from this origin, which is main, to the main, which is in remote. Okay, and if I go here and refresh this one, I will already see all my files here, which is the readme.md, and by default it's going to render it here on the readme, and here are the things that I've typed, okay, on the VS Code. Okay, it's going to format it in a markdown format. Okay, these are just the things. This is a markdown file, and there are, if you can search on that Git, or oh yeah, GitHub markdown. You can use cheat sheets here, and you can use all of this to format your stuff or your text. Okay, there's so many. Okay, um next, for the next step, during development, basically you write your code, you edit it. Let me edit it. This is already committed, right? I mean, yeah, committed and pushed to the remote repo. For example, I'm going to do changes. What I will do is do a commit again. Okay, so what I will do will be stage, and stage 2 is commit, 3 is push. You always do this 3 step every time you write your codes and you want it to be final and be uploaded to GitHub. So for this stage, you just type git add that. Okay, for commit, git commit m, and then message or description, and then git push. Since you already set up the upstream, you don't have to type that anymore. But if you did not do that, okay, if you did not do this, then you always have to add origin main. Okay, take note of that. Now let me try and do that. I have changes. Make sure that these are saved. This is not saved yet. Control S to save, or you can go to file and then save. Now let me add again. Git add that. Git status to see what's happening. Changes to be committed. It's an indicator that I have stage file, but they are not yet committed. So I'm going to run git commit -m, and then added development steps. So you always make your description, make your message descriptive, or it helps you remember what you did in this commit. Then git push, it's pushing, that will push. Okay, and go back here, refresh, you will see that the development steps is already populated. Okay, now let me go back to Git credential manager, GitHub list. This is what you are going to see. You will see all the accounts that has been logged in your account, and this. That's all. And you go and practice. That will be the workflow of our development in our class.